You still go to church. You still pray, or at least you try. But somewhere between the words and the ceiling, something gets lost. The prayers leave your mouth, but they don't feel like they arrive anywhere. You open your Bible, and the verses pass through your eyes without landing. You sing the songs you've always known, and your mouth moves, but your chest is quiet. And the strangest part? You can't explain it to anyone, because from the outside, everything looks fine. You haven't walked away from your faith. You haven't stopped believing. You're still showing up, but something that used to be alive in you is now just still. And in the silence of that stillness, a question forms, the kind you don't say out loud, because you're not even sure you're allowed to ask it. Why does God feel so far away? Here's what I need you to understand before this video is over. That emptiness you've been carrying, the one that no amount of church attendance, no amount of good behavior, no amount of trying harder has been able to fill, it is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not evidence that God has moved. It is not punishment. It might be the most important thing God has ever allowed you to feel. But before I explain why, I need to show you something first. Something that most people get completely backwards. And that mistake is keeping them from the very thing they're desperate for. Stay with me. Let me ask you something honest. When you think about getting closer to God, really think about it. What's the first thing that comes to mind? For most people, it's not a prayer. It's not a verse. It's not even a memory of when faith felt real. It's a list, a mental inventory of everything that disqualifies them, the habits they haven't broken, the sins they keep returning to, the prayers they abandoned, the person they promised they'd become by now and didn't. You look at that list, and without even realizing it, you make a decision. I'll get closer to God once I get my life together. And that decision, quiet, reasonable, even humble sounding, is exactly what's keeping you stuck. Because here's what that logic actually says. God's love has conditions, and I haven't met them yet. You've been waiting for permission to approach him, permission you're planning to earn. And while you wait, the distance grows, not because God is pulling back, but because you are. Think about what that looks like from the outside. Imagine a child who breaks something in the house, not out of malice, just out of being human, being young, being imperfect. And instead of running to their father, they hide. They clean up what they can. They try to fix it before he notices. They think, if I can just make it right first, then I can face him. But the father already knows. He already saw, and he's not standing at the end of the hallway with a verdict. He's standing there waiting, not for the mess to be cleaned up, but for the child to come back. That's you. That's been you for longer than you'd like to admit. You've been cleaning up in secret, convinced that God is waiting for the finished version of you before he opens the door. But the door isn't closed. You just stopped walking toward it. The prophet Isaiah wrote, "Come, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and he who has no money, come, buy and eat." Isaiah 55 verse 1. Did you catch that? He who has no money, come anyway. Come with nothing. Come with less than nothing. Come broke. Come empty. Come with the list still in your hand. And come. God is not asking you to resolve the list before you approach him. He's asking you to bring the list to him. The wall between you and God is real, but you're the one who built it. And in the next few minutes, we're going to talk about why, and more importantly, what's actually on the other side. Here's something that doesn't get said enough in Christian content. Faith is not the absence of reason, and the emptiness you feel, it has a rational explanation, one that should change everything about how you see your life right now. Follow this thought carefully. You cannot feel the absence of something that doesn't exist. Read that again. You cannot miss what was never real. You cannot hunger for something your body has no category for. You cannot feel the lack of a color that doesn't exist, a sound that was never made, a person who was never born. And yet, across every culture, every century, every civilization that has ever existed on this planet, human beings feel this specific ache, this particular hollowness that success doesn't fill, that relationships soften but don't cure, That achievement quiets for a moment and then returns louder than before. The ancient Greeks felt it and built temples. The Vikings felt it and carved gods from wood. The man in a penthouse in Manhattan feels it at 2 a.m. when everything he worked for is finally his, and it still isn't enough. You feel it. And here's the question philosophy has wrestled with for centuries, but that faith answers with stunning simplicity. What if the hunger is the proof? What if the fact that you ache for something beyond this world, beyond success, beyond comfort, beyond even the best version of your own life, is not a malfunction? What if it's a signal? What if the emptiness inside you is not evidence of God's absence, but the precise shape of the space He designed you to carry? St. Augustine wrote, in the 4th century, long before any of us were here, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it repose in Thee." Restless, not broken, not abandoned, restless. The restlessness is the evidence. You are not empty because God is gone. You are empty because you were made by someone, for someone, and the distance between where you are and where you belong is exactly what that emptiness is measuring. If this is resonating, if something in you just shifted, even slightly, let this video know. Hit that like button, not for the algorithm, but as a small acknowledgement to yourself. I am paying attention. Something here is true, because what comes next is where most people stop. Not because they stop believing, but because they can't get past the feeling that even if all of this is true, it still doesn't apply to them. It does. Let me show you why. We need to talk about shame, not guilt. Shame is different. Guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says I'm something wrong. And that distinction is everything, because one of them drives you toward God, and the other one convinces you that God is better off without you. You felt it. Maybe you're feeling it right now. It's the reason you hesitate before prayer. The reason you sit in church and feel like an imposter. The reason that even as you nod along to everything being said in this video, there's a voice underneath it all quietly insisting, yes, but not for you. This is for people who haven't done what you've done, who haven't stayed the same as long as you have, who aren't as far gone. That voice is not the voice of God. Let me be as clear as I can about this. God's knowledge of your failures is not news to Him. He is not discovering your worst moments in real time. He is not sitting in heaven, revising His opinion of you every time you fall. He saw the full picture before He called you, and He called you anyway. The woman in Luke 15 loses one coin. She has 9 others. By any reasonable accounting, she's fine, but she lights a lamp, sweeps the whole house, and searches until she finds it. And when she does, and this is the part that matters, she doesn't inspect the coin first to decide if it's worth celebrating. She calls her neighbors. She rejoices. That coin did nothing to be found. It was simply lost. So are you. Not condemned, not disqualified, not too far gone. Lost, and being searched for right now, in this moment, by someone who is not tired of looking. The shame that keeps the door closed between you and God is not holy. It doesn't come from reverence. It comes from pride, the subtle, hidden pride of believing that your failures are somehow bigger than His grace. That your particular mess is the one exception His mercy can't reach. It isn't. I want you to do something right now. Not when you feel ready. Not after you fix the thing you've been trying to fix. Right now. Write in the comments. Just one word. The thing you've been using as a reason to stay distant from God. You don't have to explain it. Just name it. Because naming it out loud, even in a comment section, is the first act of bringing it to Him instead of hiding it from Him. That single movement toward, instead of away, is where everything changes. And we're almost there. This is where I need to say something that might sound too simple. But simple is not the same as easy. And what I'm about to say is one of the hardest things for a modern adult to actually believe. God doesn't want the improved version of you. He wants you, not the you that finally broke the habit, not the you that prays consistently and reads the Bible every morning and has a quiet time that would make your pastor proud, not the you that figured out got it together, resolved the list. You, as you are, right now, with the unresolved things still unresolved. I know how that sounds. It sounds like an excuse. It sounds like something you'd say to someone who needed to feel better, not something that's actually true. But watch what happens when you take it seriously, when you stop treating it as a nice sentiment and start treating it as a theological fact. Jesus, in Matthew 11 verse 28, says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He doesn't say come to me when the labor is finished. He says come to me and bring the labor with you. The heavy thing is not a disqualifier. It's the very context in which the invitation is given. This changes the approach entirely, because most people are waiting to come to God from a position of strength, after they've cleaned up enough to feel presentable. But the invitation is given to the exhausted, not the composed, to the heavy, not the light, to the person who has been carrying something too long and is almost out of the strength to keep going. That is who is being called, not someday, now. And here's what trust actually looks like in practice, because trust is not a feeling. Trust is a direction. It's turning toward instead of away. Even when every instinct says you're not ready, it's saying, not when you feel it, but as a decision, as an act of the will. I believe you want me here. I believe this invitation is real, and I'm going to act like it's true, even before it feels true. That is the faith that moves things, not the faith that has everything figured out. The faith that takes one step toward God from exactly where it is. The emptiness you've been feeling, the ache, the restlessness, the hollow space that nothing in this world has been able to fill. It was never a sign that something was wrong. It was a sign that you were being called. And now I need to talk about what comes next. Here's what I want you to leave with. The distance you felt between you and God, that long, exhausting distance, was never his doing. It was never punishment. It was never the result of being too broken, too far gone, too late. It was the shape of a hunger he placed inside you on purpose, because he made you for himself, and everything in you that nothing in this world could satisfy. Every restless night, every hollow victory, every quiet moment where the life you built somehow still wasn't enough. That was not emptiness. That was direction. You weren't abandoned. You were being pointed home. And home is not a destination you earn. It is a door that has been open, that has always been open, waiting for you to stop believing the lie that you needed to deserve it first. The emptiness inside you is not a problem. It never was. It was God saying, I made you for more than this, and I have been here the whole time. Come as you are. Come with a list. Come with a weight. Come with every unresolved thing still in your hands. Just come. If this video opens something in you, if this is the kind of journey you want to keep walking, subscribe. Every video here is one more step. Don't miss the next one.